my times. Drinks are flowing, catching my vibe. Blue bubbles are blowing on my mind. You got friends who know and told you stay inside. Go live your life, your life. Texting me, don't bother coming home as if the crib ain't mine. What's on your mind? Your mind. Wait on you to sober up the next day, cause that's when you realize talking about some old ground. I am tripping. Lately while you're typing on the wrist, my angel, 207 shots of 42. Your words are cutting deep, your words are hitting different. All you gotta do is, all you gotta do is hop on 85, drive right past A&M. It's raining in Houston, we're not arguing again. All this time you've been around me, you don't spend a penny around me. Friends are extra friendly around me. If you love me, can I get a whoa, 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 yeah. Can I get a whoa, 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 yeah. I'm on 85, like that's A&M. It's raining in Houston, we're not arguing again. I'm on 85, like that's A&M. Yes, you know the way, and we're not arguing again. It's raining in Houston, my love. Streets are in the mood is already butter. So I make it worse and you could pull up. I know you like it toxic, you're used to it, love. Rather spend my energy boosting you up, gassing you up. These American guys are something different, they just talk looser than us. You say I talk proper, you say my love. All these technicals you won't move from my love. I'm pulling straight, she can get acoustic, my love. Quarter moving pineapple juice in your cup. Baby, honest, these days it's a glue stick, my love. I know you always say it's just music, my love. But these guys would die to see me lose it, my love. The hate from this year alone is confusing, my love. I can see things getting much smoother, my love. It's raining in Houston, not arguing again. It's raining in Houston, we're not arguing again. You motherfucker. You think so proper, it suits me, my love. The hate from this shit alone is real. Bang! Pineapple juice in your cup.
The money that was made could be scared money. I had no one to put up the bread for me. It's hot on the block, still milking change from it. If it ain't about the guap, I stay away from it. I ain't a stoner, but I smoke a little bit. Relieve the stress as I roll up the split. Deep in the corners from whenever the wind. Spin the block, then we at it again.
Alright, yo. Look, rest in peace to Barbara Davis. We hit another layer. When she speak to me, it's like she's saying prayers. I feel like Randy Moss when he was on the Raiders. Yeah, they love the haters. This woman so fine, I give her cash payments. Baby, I'm just so glued to the basics. I wanted more room, so I copped the crib sitting adjacent. In this hoop world, I'm Freddie Jason. I'm sitting in the places with great but never complacent. Yeah, baby, I'm a stoner. Yeah, I took that long walk in the hill that made me a loner. Nah, baby, I don't like being humble. I hang with mongrels. Gotta pay attention. There's a God sitting amongst you, and you know it.
The money that was made could be scared money. I had no one to put up the bread for me. It's hot on the block, still milking change from it. If it ain't about to drop, I stay away from it. I ain't a stoner, but I smoke a little bit. Relieve the stress when I roll up the spliff. We been the corners from whatever the wind. Spin the block, then we at it again.
Hey, yo, rest in peace to Barbara Davis. We had another layer. When she speak to me, it's like she's saying prayers. I feel like Randy Moss when he was on the Raiders. Yeah, they love to hate us. This woman so fine. I give her cash payments. Baby, I'm just so glued to the basics. I want more room, so I cop the cribs and adjacent. In this hoop world, I'm Freddie Jason. I'm sitting in the places of great but never complacent. Yeah, baby, I'm a stoner. Yeah, I took that long walk up the hill that made me a loner, and nah, baby, I don't like being humble. I hang with mongrels.
That's not what happened in Brooklyn until he absolutely had to, because Kyrie and Harden were the wrong running mates that admittedly he chose, and that's not what happened here in Phoenix. And I will say, I think that there should be a focus on moving forward.
We're going to be so good defensively.
There's going to be a hunger. I think Jalen Green is probably very well aware of what's been said about him after the playoffs, of what Houston thinks of him, including him in this deal, and of what he's probably going to hear from Suns fans coming here. Dylan Brooks, I mean, he checks that hungry box automatically. And a number 10 pick, draft pick, those guys come in hungry. So you talk about a head coach that they were looking for in Jordan Ott, first-year head coach. They wanted to go away from retreads.
That's a steal,
from coaches with championship experience and bring in someone who is hungry. You look at the return from this Kevin Durant trade, you're bringing in at least 3 guys who are going to be hungry. I do think that matters. And I'm not suggesting, because I've seen people say, like, oh, Kevin Durant came here and Devin Booker lost his hunger, he lost his edge, he doesn't even look like the same player. First of all, that's insulting to Kevin Durant and the locker room dynamic. Second, that's insulting to Book himself to suggest that he's not a grown man responsible for his own motivation. And third, it's just not true. But I do think there is something to the effect of Kevin Durant loves playing basketball. He could be playing in Siberia and he would be happy. He's won his championships. I think bringing in younger players who fit Book's timeline a little bit better, who are going to be hungry, and not that KD wasn't hungry, but bringing in those guys who haven't gotten to that point, I think that does matter for this Suns team.
Well, and I think it changes, it doesn't change Devin Booker, but that chip on the shoulder, Devin Booker has seemed to operate better in an FU mode than in other ways at times, right? Like, he comes out if he feels slighted and performs at some of the best levels we've seen. So I think we're going to see a highly motivated Devin Booker because of everybody going, well, they're doomed for 5 years. Just trade him for whatever you can get and let's move on, right? If you're Devin Booker, you see that and you go, I'm one of the greatest Suns of all time. I've stayed loyal here. I'm going to prove some of you wrong. And does that carry you to next year to the highest of highs? Probably not. But I think we're going to see Devin Booker re-emerge as that top 10 kind of guy, top 15 kind of guy in the league, where there's no doubt about who he is and why he is. And I think you're right. A guy, you can't tell me like Dylan Brooks isn't going to have a chip on his shoulder being traded away from the Rockets. Jalen Green, obviously. They're going to be younger, they're going to be hungrier, and I don't think we're going to have any night next year where we go, well, geez, they look like they didn't really try or really put forth any effort. They really look bored out there, which to me is a win from where you were last year. I know that's a small win and people don't like the small wins in these kind of situations, but to me, not having to watch completely, dispassionate basketball is going to be a win in my book.
Yeah, we've heard Jordan Ott speak to wanting to be wanting to establish a defense that's attack first. Dylan Brooks naturally he's self-explanatory. You hear the name, you know what comes with it. Like I've talked about especially before. People want to speak to the antics first before speaking to his impact on defense. His antics have impact because his defense is to the level that it is, and that's elite. And it's been that for, 4 seasons now, where he's been in that space of 3-and-D type of defenders. And he can guard multiple positions, can guard 1 through 4 comfortably, can switch and guard all 4 in one possession if you need him to. You don't get opportunity to play in Ime Udoka's system if you don't have a give a care factor about the defensive end of the floor. It's not something the Suns had comprehensively in any capacity last season, but that's not to the fault of the roster. I think it's to the fault of the roster built. And that's an indictment to the establishment of that team going into last season. So I don't imagine that's ever going to be an issue for this team going forward as long as Dillon Brooks is on the floor, because all of the things that he brings in a non-skill oriented style of dynamic to the team, it comes with accountability, and it comes with a certain floor that it's going to have to be at when he's on the court with the team, because he's going to get that out of people. We talked about leadership coming in numerous forms. He's not the literal sense of it that most people think of.
His mic
but
is
because
peaking
of the
like
accountability
crazy.
that comes with his presence on the floor defensively, that indeed is leadership. In addition to that, Jalen Green. You talk about all the negatives that people want to speak to. Again, you don't stake significant minutes in Ime Udoka's system if you don't play defense. Last season he had his best defensive season of his career. That's directly aligned with Ime Udoka. He comes into their team last season, or the season before last, and he establishes a new tone, and everybody has to fall in line. And we see Jalen Green, like Eric mentioned, and we've spoken to multiple times throughout the regular season, turn into this deflection demon, where he's just finding ways to have impact and use his plus wingspan and athleticism as a weapon on defense. That's something Jordan Ides is going to certainly look to lean into a lot, and it's going to give the Suns a different feel on the defensive end before speaking to anything on offense.
Stephen, I think you've made some fantastic points in terms of both the system that Jordan Ott, you made that point earlier about the system that Jordan Ott helped run in Cleveland and how that might work with Green and Book, and then what you just said there makes a lot of sense. And look, I think Dillon Brooks, the reaction to him is very similar to what we saw, the reaction with Grayson Allen when he came here. I can't stand, even Chris Paul to an extent. Let's be honest. As great as Chris Paul is, before he came here, there was a stigma from Suns fans that, I can't stand that guy for everything he pulls. Not to the level of Brooks or Grayson, but I think he's one of those guys, when you see the effort for your team, it shifts, right? And it changes your perspective. And I hope that is the case, because it certainly became the case for CP3 and Grayson. And if Dillon Brooks can come in and be a guy that helps you set that tone, that helps lift everybody's defense because of the effort and what he does out there, then I think you can look past some of these other things and some of these things that look like crazy antics from the outside. Maybe that's cope, but that's just kind of, experience has taught me that maybe that's what we need to look at.
It's a little cope, but people use the word cope like it's not a positive tool for your own mental well-being.
It's a safety tool, right?
First of all, coping is a healthy thing to do. Second of all, I think you're going to have to, right? Because if this team does have Dillon Brooks and Grayson Allen on its roster, Suns fans are going to have to like these guys on their own team, because nobody else is going to. Like, the Suns have already been an unlikable team from the outside perspective. They're very much that with Grayson and Dillon Brooks on the roster currently. And as we've mentioned, like, I think Grayson understands that a lot of the things that he did in the past were mistakes. I know Bulls fans hate him for the Caruso thing. Grayson stands by the fact that it was an accident. It was not intentional to hurt him in that way. But yeah, you're going to have to get used to being the villains, except not like the 64-win team that was the villains just because they were kicking the crap out of everybody. They're the villains because people are actively rooting for certain guys on this roster to fail. So we're going to have to come to grips with that. We're going to have to hope that Dillon Brooks' shooting holds up, because as we mentioned, he did have a career year shooting the ball, 39.7% on a career high 6.3 attempts. But throughout his career, he's been around 35, 36%. He only has one other season where he shot better than 37% from three. So you want that to hold up. You look at his shooting numbers from the floor, they are really not great. I think he's like 41 or 42% for his career. But what he provides defensively is going to be the main thing for you in terms of setting a new tone. And I think that is the exact type of piece that you need around Devin Booker in particular, because we know that Book has a lot to shoulder on the offensive end. We know that defensively he needs to be a lot better than he's been the last 1 or 2 years. But if you can have an enforcer type guy next to him who can help set that tone, and it not be dependent on Devin Booker and Kevin Durant setting your defensive tone, or a rookie like Ryan Dunn, I do think that can help you to a certain extent.
Yep, you look at the best rosters and the best versions of Devin Booker that we've seen, and he's had a player cut from that cloth, and I call them elite level blue collar guys. PJ Tucker first and foremost before anybody else, and then you transition to Jay Crowder and the high level of winning and sustaining at that level that we saw with them, and the way that they raised the bar for the defensive end and doing the intangible or doing the periphery things on offense to keep the offense afloat. Those two types of players are the exact archetype that Dillon Brooks is. And Dillon Brooks is a player no different than those two that offers something past just knocking down catch and shoot three-point opportunities. But to start there, 18 players took over 400 catch and shoot threes last season. His 40% clip was ninth in the NBA last season. So That's an elite volume of guys taking shots, and that's an elite efficiency in terms of making the opportunities that are being created for him. You look at him playing with guards like Jalen Green last season and Fred VanVleet, and obviously from the paint inside out, Alfred and Şengün. He doesn't necessarily have maybe the diversity of those dudes that he created last season, but we've seen Devin Booker and the attention that he gets.
Well, that's
and his
Jalen
ability
Blue,
to
boy.
throw and pass and offer that to counter it. Devin Booker being spaced one pass away on the other side gives Devin Booker a player that can create in that advantage. And to that point, not just the shooting for Dillon Brooks, very underrated passer. He's a player that can bring the ball up the court to alleviate pressure, get you into your offense efficiently with more time on the clock than if you had Devin Booker going against the grain for 90 to 94 feet, which we saw a lot last season from the good defensive teams. So having a player that can not just be a specialist but has multiple little skills that you can lean into. You can throw it into the post of Dillon Brooks, and you can get Devin Booker and Jalen Green and movement screaming for one another. Split action, as they call it. We saw them do it in Houston last season a couple of times with Jabari Smith Jr. and Jalen Green, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's something the Suns can certainly lean into. And then the other big thing for me with Dillon Brooks, we talked about the defense. He is a good rebounder, a very good rebounder for his position, for his size. And it comes with, again, an accountability that the Suns just didn't have last season, not just playing defense, but also putting a period on your defensive possessions and going after the ball. I think that edge, that elite blue-collar dynamic is something this team missed last season. And there's a new sheriff in town as far as blue-collar boys go. So we're going to have some fun with that going forward, and specifically documenting the impact that has on this roster in Jordan Ott's first season.
Yeah, Gerald, you bring up that, you know, the Suns are going to be the villains. Nice guys have finished last for 57 seasons here, whatever it has been. I don't care. Like, you know, it's a dig a little bit when you've zagged most of your life. I'm ready. Let's go for a villain arc. Let's be the most hated team, with some edge and some toughness, and see where that leads you. But I want to get your feeling, both of you guys, in terms of how much of this came down to also looking at Kevin Durant wanted that max extension, obviously wanted that money that was coming to him, and did you really feel like you could invest that in a guy that was going to be 40 by the time that deal ended up? Where in this you split that money into a couple contracts, obviously younger guys. Maybe it gives you more flexibility if you feel like you have to start making other moves to jettison things if we get to that point. That, I think, has to be taken into consideration as well when you're looking at it too. It's just the amount of money you were going to have to invest in Kevin Durant that was going to be 40 by the end of the time you finish paying.
I think that's an interesting point. I can say, based on what I had heard and based on my feeling around the situation, I don't think that would have been an issue if the team hadn't been an absolute disaster this year. I think individually speaking, like all the sources that I talked to last summer when the Suns didn't give him a one-year extension, remember that he was eligible for that extension. The reasoning that I was given by multiple Suns sources was that they were waiting for this summer when he was eligible for a 2-year extension, because then for Kevin Durant, he could get paid extra, have an extra year tacked on, and for the Suns, they wanted to do right by him and extend him for as long as possible. Then this season happened, and it was a train wreck, and I think they were met with reality that it just wasn't going anywhere. So I think the concern there was less about his age and whether he'd still be able to perform at Kevin Durant levels that late into his career, as it was like, why are we tying up 2 extra years of max money into a guy when this situation isn't working? It's time to pivot. I think Matt Ishbia said it at his press conference, like, if something's not working, patience is not one of my strong suits. I will pivot. And I think this was the ultimate pivot, if you will.
Isn't that part of why you don't sign with a contract extension, though, too? Because you want that out if things went sideways for a second straight season. So I don't know, again, you were never going to get the value that some people wanted in this. I'm personally, I don't know about you guys, I'm glad it's just over.
I am too.
I'm just like, now you can move on and you can go, okay, what is actually going to happen? How will basketball look like under Jordan Ott? I cannot wait for Steven to break down film and tell me this is what the offense is going to look like with these pieces that have been added. This is what this team's going to play like, because we have been stuck in this KD loop since February trying to figure this out. And I'm glad that we have emerged out of it. I'm glad KD will have an opportunity to win a title. And I'm interested in seeing what the Suns are moving forward at the very least.
Yeah, I feel like that's a move that you make if you're not sure you want to invest in him going forward, for sure. But my question is kind of piggybacking off of that, which is something I was mentioning why I thought the Suns could get maybe more than people thought they would if Durant was going to Houston. And that's Houston pushing the Fred VanVleet extension deadline back to July. Now, I'm not as privy to their books because of the actual trade that happened today. I kind of had an idea of different things going on. So I wonder, especially with the Lumen extensions going after next season for Jabari and Tari, Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason, how does that affect Fred VanVleet getting the money that is looming for him with his deadline that's coming sooner than KD's trade, or sooner than KD's extension, as well as the 2 younger guys? So I wonder what their books look like with that and how they're kind of incorporating that into their thought process going forward. They got some decisions to make. They also don't have a shooting guard, a literal shooting guard that's on their roster right now. So I imagine they'll probably try to keep those two to then put themselves in position and make another move as well. So they got some bookkeeping things to kind of tend to themselves on their end. But them having Kevin Durant with those two young wings, obviously Fred VanVleet likely to come back in some capacity. Still having Shane Boone, having brought back in Steven Adams. That's a team that has expectations now. Last season, there was a lot of element of surprise, them catching people off guard. Their offensive outlook now shifts when you bring Kevin Durant in. I'm curious what that looks like for them going into next season. They don't give up all of their defense. I think maybe the piece that identified most with the style of play that Udoka wanted to get to was Brooks. But I think naturally we lean more into Easton in particular for that, to bring some of that, some of those intangibles. But that's a team that should finish no worse than top 4 in the West now, right?
Well, I mean, Steven, look, I know a team that has like 6 shooting guards that might be able to help out Houston.
No.
Bradley Beal, you are a rougher.
That's why I thought there was a natural partnership there. You got it.
Yeah. No, that's going to be interesting for Houston. Any final thoughts before we kind of transition out of here? I think we should probably spend a little bit of time talking about maybe prospects at number 10. But anything in terms of the actual trade, Kevin Durant, the Rockets that we have not covered before we move on to that.
Look, I know it's not popular to say this about a guy leaving town, but I hope KD does have success in Houston. I'd love to see him. If the Suns can't win a title, I'd love to see KD do it, just so he can shake some of that negative, talk that's been around him because he only got it in Golden State. So, I have never had a problem with KD, and I want to see him have success. It's some of the peripherals that came along with it. If I ever seem bitter about that guy, so.
Yep.
I'm very curious to see what the fit for Durant in Houston looks like. Him and Udoka have had many back and forths in a obviously respectful manner, but Udoka being able to maybe send Durant's offense off script more than any other coach has in a sustained manner, with the ways that his defense has been able to shape shift around Durant. Durant not having to worry about that, but Durant also being able to kind of learn from Udoka potentially, and when teams try to implement things that Udoka did, having direct counters to that. I think naturally the answer to most of that is going to lie in how they fill out the rest of the roster, getting literally shooting in any capacity in the room. I think they need it even more so now than they did prior to the trade happening today. But you can do a lot worse than having a problem-solving piece in Kevin Durant to navigate clutch minutes for with your team. You just have to get to that point. And when you get there, which it doesn't seem like they'll have an issue getting to the postseason next year, then you just roll the dice at that point. You have one of the 15 greatest playoff performers of all time. That's a nice little...
Kevin Durant was traded to the Houston Rockets. My apologies on being late. I was running errands, and I was getting my haircut. I went back to jump out of the barber seat to be like, oh, I got to record this video, even though it would have been wild to have a fade. But here's the details of the trade, man. Kevin Durant started Houston Rockets. They came back Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks. Some of those second-round picks convey in 2030, 2032. One of them conveys this year, but it is the very last pick in this year's draft. So it is officially done. Now, we've known Kevin Durant's preferred destinations. We've known the teams that were interested. Could they have waited one extra day to break this news? Probably. So we could just focus on Game 7, something historic happening in the NBA right now. But no, we do get the Kevin Durant trade, and I got a lot to talk about. I actually do like that I wasn't able to record the video immediately, because when I first saw this trade break, as I'm sitting still to get my lineup, I see Jalen Green is in it, and my immediate reaction was like, okay, that's interesting. But because it got Devin Booker, and because he got Bradley Beal, Jalen Green probably gets rerouted to another team. Yeah. And I'm thinking in my head, who could those teams be? Who would be interested in Jalen Green at this point based on what he just did?
Or they get Bradley Beal out here and they make Jalen Green a 6-man.
That says that Ishbia and them plan on keeping Jalen Green. So I would have came to this video talking about different destinations for Jalen Green. The only destination that matters is the Phoenix Suns for him. I'm also happy because, immediate reaction was, wow, that's it. Now, obviously the Suns had zero leverage. We've all known Kevin Durant wanted out. We all know that they wanted to trade him away. We all knew that the Suns wanted to complete the trade before the draft because they wanted some draft capital in it. So when you think about them having zero leverage, yeah, I still thought like, damn, that's just not a lot. And then Shams Charania reports one of the other trade offers that were on the table, which was Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, Hayward Highsmith, and pick 20. And I'm like, all right, yeah, Houston trade was pretty good. But I can't look at this trade for the Suns as a one-to-one we traded away Kevin Durant, because you got to think about the 6 trades that leaded up to the point where this ended up being the case. With Cam Johnson, with Chris Paul, with Mikal Bridges, the second-round picks and the first-round picks that they gave up for, to boil down to Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and whoever they drafted at 10. I feel bad. The State was a finals team just a few years ago, man. That team was lovable in my personal opinion. Now, my favorite players on the team, but I really enjoyed watching those teams go on that championship run. They lost in the finals, but you get what I'm saying. That run to end up being in the finals, and Devin Booker at that point, I think he's only 24 years old. It's like, oh, he'll be back. You get the moment where the Bucks are celebrating, and Devin Booker's on the court, like, damn. And I'm like, oh, don't worry, Devin, you're only 24. You'll be back. And now here he is at what? Now is he what? Age 20, 27, and he's looking around like. He is 28, almost 29. Damn, Booker's about to be 30. That's nuts. You see, I just rounded up for him. Man, do I just hate everything that's been going on in Phoenix. And I've been team Devin Booker stays around, but it's so hard if I'm Devin Booker and in his camp to look at what's left of a team that I had my most success with after I spent the first, hold on. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. I spent the first 5 years of my career just in oblivion, teams that were winning 19 games, 21 games, 24 games, and to be at the age of 28, and now we have to go through that again? I thought that may have been a world before any trade happened that, like, the Suns can recruit some assets, so you think to yourself, okay, maybe this is a 1 or 2 year retooling and we'll be back to not being contenders like they were in 2021, but at least being competent enough to say we're competing for a playoff spot. I just don't see that as the case anymore, given what they got back in this trade. I said on just yesterday's podcast that I may be one of the last Jalen Green believers, but damn it, I don't believe he's about to be no superstar or nothing. But like a lot of people turned off to Jalen Green based on that playoff performance, and it's understandable. But I still look at him as like a 23-year-old guy trying to figure some things out. But this is one of his worst scenarios, if you ask me, as far as trying to figure out who he can become as a player and how does this impact the Devin. It's just a lot, man. It's just
Bro, why are they hooping like
this? And I wonder
if
we're ever going to get, like, some of the other teams that were interested, like the Houston Rockets apparently were interested. I'm sorry, not the Houston Rockets. The Toronto Raptors were interested, figuring out what the hell that was. What were the Spurs offering? Maybe it was pick 14 and just filler like a Harrison Barnes and Chains, and none of them had the upside of maybe what Jalen Green, number 2 overall pick, could be. I feel for Suns fans, though. I truly, truly do. Thinking about what this team would look like, I don't know. I got Suns fans hitting me up like the only reason that they accept this trade because they got an idea that Bradley Beal is going to get rid of his no trade clause or ship him to another team. It's like, even if we are being the most optimistic side of that thing, you ain't getting nothing back, right? You know what I mean? It's not like if he says, yeah, I'll be traded to Chicago for whatever reason. It's not like you about to get somebody who's like, okay, now this team is interesting. There's nothing interesting about this team, right? I mean, it's interesting, but not a positive interesting, So this is another tale of new owner syndrome and how that can really derail an organization. I think Matt Ishbia's intentions were right, trying to compete and trying to win championships, but the execution was awful. So awful. And now he continues to hire these people that were from his area, the Michigan State area, and it's like just a bunch of potential yes men, and just you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And the report came out for whatever reason that Book was looking to express his options. There can't be a single Suns fan that would. I mean, there probably will be, but they shouldn't feel some type of way about it. Like I said, he spent the first 5 years of his career in oblivion before they go into the bubble. And they win 8 games, or 8-0, whatever it may be. They trade for Chris Paul, and now they're in the finals. And then you basically just got 3 years of being a competent NBA team before everything went crashing again.
I just realized I'm missing Caitlin Clark play basketball, and I'm missing.
Because boy, isn't this is a treat to be able.
And I'm missing Paige Beckers play basketball.
To walk out of this without mortgaging any of the
Asia Wilson.
Again, no
what the fuck am I playing this for?
Mortgaging any of the super young, intriguing prospects that they already have on the roster, and walk out with Kevin Durant is amazing. I did not end up even having to get rid of Cam Whitmore, and now Cam Whitmore's team is probably feeling pretty good because with this trade, it probably opens up more opportunity for him to play with 2 guard wings going out, and maybe Cam Whitmore gets some burn. So they didn't mortgage anything. I mean, yeah, the 10th overall pick could be valuable. Maybe the Suns hit on that pick and do boom, light at the end of the tunnel for them. But when you consider you do still have Jabari, Tari, Reed, and Cam, where the hell was the 10th overall pick guy gonna fit in and all of that? This is just nearly a flawless trade, because even if it don't work, even for
Oh,
whatever
it's
reason,
awful.
Kevin Durant comes to the Houston Rockets and it ends up being trash. They end up losing more games than they win. No, that's not gonna happen. But they were what, a 50-some win team last year. Let's say they fall back into a playing team, which again I don't think is happening. Fine. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. We still got Shingo. We still got Amen. I think that this team's next year's ceiling, because I think that's a lot of what people are trying to have the conversation of. Hey, I think the betting odds just said that the Houston Rockets jumped up as a number 2 team in the Western Conference, which I guess in the regular season they were that according to record. But even if everything goes bad and you still have like Amen Thompson, and Amen Thompson's next jump is going to be so critical to match the timelines of a Kevin Durant team with these dudes. And we just saw Amen Thompson look really good in his rookie season, but then look like an all-defensive player in year number 2, and see some of the other offensive things and the way he's being utilized as an offensive player shift from his second season. Now with the added spacing and creation that is Kevin Durant, I don't know what the hell happens with Amen Thompson next, but I guarantee you it's going to be something positive. This team is a team that went to the postseason, and they took the Golden State Warriors to 7. They took the Golden State Warriors to 7, with Jimmy Butler, of course, missing that one game. I forgot about that. Without them having somebody on the perimeter that you felt was really comfortable with. Like, Freddie gave us a couple games that were bangers for Fred VanVleet. Shout out to him. But without them having a go-to scorer and a potential go-to closer, they took the Warriors to 7. Like, that is nuts. And now they're adding in a Kevin Durant. I love it for them, because again, if it does not work, it's fine. It's fine. Because not only do you hold your own future, you still hold the Phoenix Suns' future. The Suns didn't get back their picks in this trade. 2027 for the Suns is still in your treasure trove. So again, Rafael Stone has been doing an amazing job over there in Houston. And I'm excited to see what happens next. It feels weird to see Kevin Durant on another team. To see the clips of them announcing the trade when he was on stage is pretty fun. He just did an interview with Kate Adams where he said he knew that the trade was about to happen, but it was fun that it happened on stage. Wow, what a trade! What a trade! I think that even though they gave up Dylan Brooks, they still will have the defensive infrastructure to stay great. And Kevin Durant gave us flashes of really good defense last season, specifically in the beginning of the season, and then it just wavered as the season went on. But he's also 37 years old, so I don't expect him to be the rim protective deterrent that maybe he was 2 years ago. But because they do have Amen, and they will still have a combination of Tari and Jabari and so on and so forth, I don't expect this team defensively to drop off too much. I mean, yeah, they sacrificed some of that, but think about the offensive upside that Kevin Durant is really bringing to the team. And I just had to quickly go through with this, because I was like, I remember, some things about Kevin Durant last season. I'm just looking at overall game log, and I'm just sitting here counting. They were 3-17 when he didn't play last season. And that's a huge one, right? That's a huge one. Can we get Kevin Durant to play more, right? That's a big question. Would he be able to stay healthy for a postseason run? But some of these stretches are really bad, and then you also count them up. They were 33-29 with him last season. So obviously, Kevin Durant is still a really good player. He ain't the player that he was in 2012, but who the hell is, right? He still averages of 26, 6, and 4, 50, 40, 84. Whew, that's a bad man. That's a bad man. Right? That bad man is now going to the Houston Rockets. So really excited about how creative they could get offensively with Kevin Durant on the roster now as like a guy that couldn't be a decoy and also be like, just give me the ball and let me rock out. I feel like they didn't really have that too much. Jalen Green did provide a good amount of like rim pressure, especially later on throughout the season. Kevin Durant doesn't really do that as much. He still drives a ton, but it's more drive to pull-ups instead of drive to get to the paint and get 2 feet in. We'll see if that maybe shifts, but he also, again, is 37 years old. I can't ask him to go out there and attempt 7 free throws a game or 13 free throws a game or something. What did he average last year from the line? He shot 6. He shot 6 last year. He shot 6. That's fair. That's fair for the old man. I mean, his third year, he shot 10 and 90%. Oh, my God, bro. Hey, man, I still appreciate Kevin Durant and how great he is, even if the team has been trash. He's played 35 games, 55 games, 47 games, 75 games last year, and then 62 games. So you just keep your fingers crossed that you can get a really healthy season. But again, there's no downside. Like usually if you like Desmond Bane trade, even though I really like it for the Orlando Magic, the downside is he doesn't help them get over the hump, and now you just mortgage 5 years worth of draft picks. You didn't do that. You didn't do that in this trade, dog. I love for when a team is the recipient of a star player with no value. Because more likely than not, that player's still really good. Right? Kevin Durant didn't have any value, not because he's bad, but because there's no leverage from the opposing team. If Kevin Durant was, they say, surprise trade candidate, let's say the Suns just won 50 games, and for whatever reason he's low-key available, I promise you the trade package will be higher. But like, if we're the Rockets and we're the Spurs and we're Miami, why are we competing against each other to get the guy that we know has to be traded? Anyway, really excited about what Kevin Durant could do. Jalen Green starting with Devin Booker. They were already just such a poor defensive team, man. They were 28th in defense last year. Still don't know who their center is going to be next year. Hell, we don't know any of their wings. They really are just a team of guard play. Guard play. And I just remembered the Marshawn Brooks thing. Remember Marshawn Brooks in 2017 or 2018 got traded, but they thought it was Dylan Brooks. Now they finally get Dylan Brooks. So that's a dub, I guess. Uh-oh. Flight team stand up. It's true. The NBA is not wasting no time with these blockbuster trades. Bright and early in the morning on Sunday, Game 7 day. And we're not even talking about Game 7 right now. Kevin Durant. KD is officially traded out of the Phoenix Suns and is now a Houston Rocket, man. Bro, Kevin Durant is turning into the NBA blunt rotation now at this point of his career, bro. What's going on, man? Bro, KD has been on like 8 different teams for the last 10 years. Kevin Durant has now been officially traded to the Houston Rockets. The Charizard dude tweeted out this blockbuster trade. He has been traded for Jalen Green, who is now a member of the Phoenix Suns. The Buns are trading 2-time NBA Finals MVP KD to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green,
Fuck out of here.
Dylan Brooks, a bag of Lay's potato chips, a few things of gummy worms, all jokes aside, a number 10 pick in the 2025 draft, and 5 second-round picks. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you, at this point in his career, where KD is at, this actually is a pretty fair trade. I don't know about these 5 second-round. Well, it's a second round. It's not just the first round. I ain't gonna lie, the trade kind of looks even, maybe. Did the Rockets give up too much? Or did they give up just enough? Because, let's be honest, Jalen Green, he exposed himself this NBA season. He's clearly only a regular season made player. He doesn't really have like that playoff like energy. The Warriors expose him, you know what I'm saying, real bad. So I don't know, maybe he needed to get a change of scenery, maybe he needed to get a change of environment, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that might just inspire. Now he's gonna be playing with Booker and Beal. KD looks like he's gonna finish out his NBA career in Texas. And now here's the thing that I'm having a thought process on. Somebody, I want to say a few days ago in a blog post when they was already having rumors about Kevin Durant being traded, they were basically breaking down that a lot of like, especially like older NBA superstars, once they reach like that retirement age of like their career, they basically want to go to like an NBA team that has like a non-state or / non-federal tax. You know what I'm saying? Because you know Texas is a state where you don't have to, pay federal taxes. It's federal states at one of those things. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, it's just, it's one of those states. So basically, KD is free from, you know what I'm saying, giving up a little bit extra money. He's going to be able to pocket some more change. He's at the end of his career. So what do you guys have to say about this? Did you think KD did this, you know what I'm saying, to pay just a little bit less in taxes? Or did he want to actually genuinely go to the Rockets? Now, I ain't going to lie, I felt like he would have been maybe a better fit
to come back to the Warriors and have another reunion with Steph, Chef, with Curry, man. Get him one more ring. Let's be honest, KD's not going to touch another NBA Finals, let alone get another ring. But I mean, he does have some benefits. You know what I'm saying? He's saving money on taxes, he can pocket some more chains and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, I mean, the Rockets are a young team. They didn't have to give up Shampoo, so I mean, they still got somewhat of some talent there. They got Jabari Smitty still, but I mean, they gave up some defense. We definitely say that they gave up some defense. The Rockets also gave up some draft pick. I mean, I feel like this NBA draft isn't supposed to be hella talented, or am I tripping? We're going to go look at some 2, 3, and 1 videos in a second. Shortly, I'm just looking at some more info. This is all live and in full effect while this is happening. So, the deal places Durant on the number 2 seed. Rockets elevates team positioning for title contention in the West. Suns landed 23-year-old scorer for high-power backcourt Booker. Tough 3 and D player, and now have 3 firsts and 8 seconds. And 8 seconds to use. 3 firsts and 8 seconds. Oh, to use. I thought he meant like 8 seconds. But 8 second-round picks. The Buns have. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I smell another trade the Buns coming up really, really soon within the next few weeks or maybe a month. Bro, they got 8 second-round picks just sitting in the cut. I ain't gonna lie. Right off the bat, the Buns need to make a trade like right now, and another trade. Low-key, yo, the Buns can low-key sneak up into a legitimate top 4 seeded Western Conference team by the time the 2026 NBA season starts later on in the year. Bro, 8 second-round picks. That's actually genuinely, like, they can dead-ass, like, trade, like, 5 of those second-round picks right now and get a solid casual. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's, like, a point guard through a center. Like, right this second. I would really do that right. Because, for some reason, especially by the NBA draft.
They're going to pick Malo Watch at 10.
You know, the NBA draft, I believe it's this week. You know, we're going to be covering that and stuff like that. Bro, so right now, trades for, like, anything in the draft is sky high at this moment. So, bro, if I'm Phoenix, you guys better literally hop on that right now. Get, like, a solid casual up-and-coming all-star. Like, give up 5 of those picks. You know damn well you don't need 8 second-round picks. This is crazy, man. And then there's no other news there. Let's try and see if there's anybody, there's opinions on this trade and stuff like that. This just happened, so I don't know if there's a lot of people that's already had posted it or not. But we're going to see. You got somebody named Srose on the Kevin Durant trade. Let's check him out.
The 2025 NBA offseason is already off to
Be sure to subscribe to Srose. Get him to 200K.
Saints start, and the finals aren't over yet. On the day of Game 7, the Phoenix Suns and Houston Rockets agreed on a Kevin Durant trade that is going to send Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th overall pick during Wednesday's first round, and 5 second-round picks for Kevin Durant. So we're going to break down this trade today. I'm giving my thoughts, opinions on each side, and give out some player grade at the end of this video. It is wild that last Sunday we had Desmond Bane get traded. This Sunday it's Kevin Durant with the finals in a few hours, and the Rockets go out and get their guy. They needed a number 1 in the playoffs. We saw that in round number 1 against the Golden State Warriors, and they trade away Jalen Green, who they took with the 2nd overall pick back in the 2021 draft. The Suns get Jalen Green here, which I think is a weird fit with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. So I could expect Jalen Green to be rerouted at some point this offseason. I think getting Dillon Brooks is a nice add and better than some other salary fillers that could have been in this trade. And you do get the 10th overall pick back during this year's draft instead of your 2027 first. And the Suns can get an immediate contributor with the 10th overall pick during Wednesday's first round selection. And I just love this for the Houston Rockets. Not having to trade away Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepard, or that 2027 Suns pick as well. I think this is really good as you're already a 2 seed in the Western Conference and you're going from Jalen Green, who at times was your number 1 scoring option, to Kevin Durant, who was unreal last season for the Phoenix Suns, even with them being somewhat disappointing in the Western Conference.
I mean, say what you want about KD. I feel like KD has to have his longevity spoken about a little bit more. When he's healthy, he actually genuinely still averages 23 and up points. So, like, let's not act like this is not going to benefit the Rockets either. Now, do you think the Rockets are going to be a second-plus round team? Hell no. I think they're going to be a playing team, if we're being honest. But KD's definitely going to still have some 40 points, some 35-plus point games.
Year Kevin Durant in his
you think the Rockets with that offensive firepower,
averaged 26.5 points on 52,
this much
43,
defense is going to be a play-in
This is still prime Kevin Durant, even though he's going to be 37 years old this upcoming September. He's still one of the best scorers in the NBA, and now you're surrounding him with a dominant offensive hub in Alfred Chamberlain, a good veteran point guard in Fred VanVleet, one of the best young stars in the league in Amen Thompson, and you also kept the other young pieces, like I said, Jabari Smith and Reed Shepard.
I can't believe we kept Jabari
and very exciting and very scary in the
2026 season. Now, it hasn't fully came out yet, but you assume that Kevin Durant is going to sign at least a 2-year extension with the Houston Rockets to end his career with them. So now he spent time in OKC, in Golden State, Brooklyn, Phoenix, and now Houston. So his 5th team, his 4th in the Western Conference. And you have to be excited about this if you're a Rockets fan, because you were just so good last year in the regular season. You needed that number 1 guy, and you're going to be okay when Kevin Durant retires. You're still going to have Shengu and Amen Thompson running the show. You would have liked for Jalen Green to be that number 1 for you, like you thought he was going to be out of the G League Ignite during that 21 draft, but it's okay. And you made that trade with the Brooklyn Nets last offseason, swapping the Nets picks. You gave them back to Brooklyn to get the Suns picks to make a deal like this. Last summer, they were rumored to give up Alperen Sengun for Kevin Durant. This summer, you didn't even have to come close to that. Apparently, the Miami Heat were also very interested in getting Kevin Durant, as were the
Hey, KD should have gone to a team like the Heat. All right, shout out to Strohs. Let's see if there's any more clips that we can find. Did the man Smooth make a video on this yet? He did. Let's check it out.
Kevin Durant has been traded. He's going to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks. Wow. So I actually really like the trade for the Rockets. They didn't give up that much. They gave up 1 defender, Dylan Brooks. They did give up a young star, Jalen Green, 1 first-round pick. Second-round picks aren't that big of a deal. But Jalen Green, remember, he got benched in the playoffs because he didn't perform in the clutch. He had some very bad games down the stretch. They didn't trust him, and they needed somebody to get him buckets. Fred VanVleet became their closer. And Fred VanVleet, he's a great player. I mean, he did show up in the clutch. But if he's your number 1 closer, you're probably not winning a championship. Now you add Kevin Durant to close out the games. Now we're talking. Kevin Durant is 36 years old. He's going to be 37 going into the season. This isn't that young Durant, but he can still give you buckets. And the Rockets have an elite defense. They only got rid of 1 defender, so the rest of that defensive core is still there. They still got good bigs. They got good.
I ain't gonna lie. I thought Brooks carried the defense.
The problem on the Suns, that team had no defense.
I gotta remember he watches highlights.
I
gotta remember that.
The team just didn't make
Bro,
it.
he said weird build. That's funny.
Since you put a defense around him, that's why if Kevin Durant would have gone to the Heat, that would have worked out as well. Him getting buckets, remember, he was getting buckets in the Olympics. He could still give you those buckets you need in the clutch. So I like it for the Rockets. For the Suns, they get a young star. Who knows if they're going to rebuild all the way, if they're going to trade Booker as well. We don't know. But they get a bunch of draft picks, second-round draft picks. They get a first as well. It's okay for them. You'd love to see some more first-round picks for a star like Kevin Durant. Obviously, he's older. But we just saw Desmond Bane get 4 first-round picks, and he is not on the level of Kevin Durant, even though he is.
Damn, I damn near forgot about that. How does the Zane dude get 4 first-round, 3, 4, for whatever he said, first-round picks? He's nowhere and ever going to be on KD's level, bro. Like I said, bro, I just feel like it's coming down to this point in the generation, especially like a lot of NBA teams are just really desperate to just have some type of success and just some type of just wins, bro. Bro, 3 or 4 first-round picks for Zane, but KD gets second-round picks, bro. But I understand the age difference. I'm not delusional about that. But, bro, come on. Desmond versus Kevin Durant. That's not even like the same, like, we're not even in the same combo, bro.
They got some seconds. They did get a young star, though. They got Jalen Green. They got to work and develop him. But I like it for the Rockets. I think it's a good move. They want to win right now. It makes them better. It's going to be exciting. Because if they had Kevin Durant, they beat the Warriors if they had Durant on that team last season. No question about it. They would have advanced.
Hey, man, shout out to Smooth. Let me see if the man Kenny said anything. We'll go ahead and wrap that up. Nope, nothing out. You probably have something out later. All right, man. What do you guys think about all these trades? Does this make the Rockets a farther team in the playoffs? Does this make the Phoenix Suns a farther team in the playoffs? They still get a gift to the Warriors, right?
Today in a live edition.
The fuck up. All that damn talking, I ain't want you to do all that goddamn talking. Shut your bitch ass up. All that goddamn talking. Shut the hell up, boy. I done told you to stop all that damn talking, boy. All you do is talk, talk, talk. So I make you wish you could. I gotta at least see what. I'm gonna get the end of the game though. We playing the Mystic. I just watched the highlights of that. I ain't gonna lie.
Finna tune in this one. Hopefully it's not a blowout.
Cunningham hit the deck. Inside to Boston. Nye brought the double. Now they need a quick shot from Lloyd. Almost went in. Indiana leading the more production coming from you in the third quarter.
Damn,
What
bro.
was different than the first half? 2 from the line in that trip. Just very little difference between the two clocks. Ooh. Cunningham hit.
I know that I saw probably
in this ball game as we get ready for the fourth quarter.
Papa, you used to rather have my energy boosting
They
you.
just bought their first home and are learning a lot. Thanks to Google, Pedro knows more than he wanted to about gravel. And Judy wouldn't call herself a plumber, but she dabbles.
Wait, how did
Twin trim, I ain't gonna lie. Twin trim.
Honey, I did.
So far, if they've learned one thing about
Well, I
them,
wanna listen to art, bro. No, I don't.
good thing you can just ask Google.
Nigga waiting on me. Outside waiting. Oh shit, my fault. I ain't wearing no cake, bitch.
The following footage contains dominance. Scoring dominance.
Bro. Got it, cause niggas came up with me. How the fuck would you pass that?
Need to bring her joy.
Thompson against Booker.
Because when a scary tumor threatens her story, you expect her to
His name is Fred. His last name is Van Vliet. You shoot him in the head, I shoot him with can speed.
keeping her story alive because we for who?
Here's Bull. And that one's on target from the wing. Bull's got
you need more space? You need General Steel Building System. Text JET to 59583 to start designing your customized space.
The national TV schedule. How about doubleheader on Thursday?
Fuck.
Here's Brooks. He's got 6. Pass to Bull. Now Booker.
Indiana, followed by Washington, Vegas, Friday on Ion, Indy, Dallas, and New York is at Phoenix. Check all these games out with exciting NBA season and more. Back to Lobo, Angel Gray here from Vegas. How about Dallas has won 2 games in a row? Paige Beckers has been playing really, really well. They have her back and healthy. And you're right, everybody, if you haven't seen Phoenix play,
Oh, 1,000, 1,000
very
fold.
different team this year. Vegas, as you see, they have not lost to Indiana since 2019. That was before the pandemic. It was a long time ago. 15 straight wins for Vegas in this series.
Hey man, see now I'm all about my ends. Big face, Buddha, good things from a den.
9 assists this afternoon.
Vegas, the only team Indiana did not beat in the regular season last year.
Trying to beat them. This is the first of 3 regular season meetings we will have between these two squads. Mismatch with Boston on 9. On 9, pardon me, Clark.
That's early.
It, but they didn't quite connect. Fifth turnover for Caitlin. Only had 1 in the first half. And we're at the T-Mobile Arena. They usually play down at Michelob Ultra at Mandalay Bay. This place is packed, Rebecca.
It certainly is.
This is the NHL arena for the Golden Knights. Davey Kadakis is here. So Cheryl Miller.
Come on.
And now we see Jewel Roy. 1-point game. Vegas has scored 19 points off turnovers now. Shot clock in the single digits for Clark. Stokes boards it, and now Vegas has a chance to take the lead.
And a great job by Nye defensively switching.
For the lead. Over Clark. The rookie from Alabama. Nails it. Indiana takes a timeout.
Nye was battling on the defensive end on the switch. The Lee of Boston get the ball.
Hey, guess I'm playing every day in October.
And dreams the 3. We see a rookie.
The WNBA on ESPN is presented by Google, proud partner of the WNBA, and in part by Coach, official partner of the WNBA, and Nike, just do it.
She won MVP, MVP, 1, 2, and 3, 3, 3.
Early.
Keep playing. I'll gain confidence. And I'll make this better. I'll play hard up there. I'll stay physically and mentally fit. I'll play with anyone. Anyone. And most importantly, I'll have fun.
One single game. Nothing like Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
One game for everything you ever dreamed of.
Game 7 only fitting with the way these two teams have gone at it.
The NBA Finals. Game 7.
This copyrighted telecast of WNBA Enterprises may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or
I think Jabari does come off the bench.
without the express written consent of WNBA Enterprises.
Welcome back as we get a look at T-Mobile Arena from immersive view in Google Maps, which you can use to explore places and routes.
I think Reed Shepherd's gonna be pretty good this year too. We need to move Cam Whitmore though, like for like a 2 guard.
scored the first 5 points of this quarter. They have taken their first lead since it was 6-4 way back early in the first quarter. Vegas trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Stokes out on Clark, but she finds Boston, where only Leah Boston can get it. And Jewel Lloyd is trying to battle, fronting. Caitlin Clark delivered it. Boston again. Once it's up there, she goes and gets it and finishes. 10th assist of the game for Caitlin. Nice bounce pass. Clark got her hands on the basketball, but a little bit too much.
No, I jumped too early.
We're talking about the connection all game long, all season long, and the pass, the assist from Caitlin Clark to Aaliyah Boston. The significance, that's her 10th assist. Look at this graphic. 10-plus assists in the rest of the Indiana Fever history. There have been 16 of those combined. That's ridiculous. Just in her second season, playing her 8th game of the year. She did miss 5 earlier this season. She just picked up her first foul. They send Mitchell to the line. Mitchell guarded by Evans. Pick and roll action with Howard, with Stokes with some good defense. Asia getting a little bit of a break now. Oh, foul on the perimeter. I thought Lefty Hull did a really nice job that time, fighting over the screen and moving her feet.
Up 14 as we wrap up the quarter. Tough to run with them. They get the ball
Foul on Hull.
We'll be back in a moment.
Jewel shooting it over Hull. Good pass out by Cunningham.
I dropped the top in the middle of December.
She was being held. Here comes Asia. Asia Wilson back into the game, along with Jackie Young for Stokes and Mitchell.
Asia is so good, bro.
Yeah, it's time for the big guns. Leah Boston still on the bench for the Fever. And not scored yet today. Clark pursued by Nye. Boyd able to come up with the rebound and somehow not step on the end line. Good pace for Young. She scores over Hall.
That's good defense, though.
Strength, Jackie Young, when she gets ahead of this game, it doesn't matter who's between her and the basket. She can find her way there. 4-point lead is the biggest of the game for Vegas, who trailed by as many as 10. Young tied up. Good job by Kelsey Mitchell. Caitlin Clark dangerous when she's going to her left side and floating that way, but she doesn't connect on the shot, and a missed shot sometimes can be like a turnover. A great job by Vegas to push the other way.
That's all.
Talked about it and her ability to use her strength to finish. Young and Mitchell will jump. Gray. It's a 16-2 Vegas run. In the last 5.5 minutes, Indiana needs another timeout, and they take it. Look at the referee after he tosses the ball for the jump, trying to get out of the way. We've all done that before in some situations. Tuck your head high.
My personal style is a mix of a lot of things. feminine, masculine. I dress up, I dress down. I don't think it really matters, but just to be comfortable in it. It took me a while to be confident in my own skin and what I want to wear. I don't need to be like anything. I can be what I want to be. People are going to like you, people are going to hate you regardless of what you do.
But Nino Page should be a superstar right now, bro. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say that, but I'm probably gonna be saying it forever. But, bro, he should be one of the biggest artists in the world, bro. He should be getting pushed, bro. Bitch. Yeah, I passed it.
Hey, Meta, tell me about this artist.
Ooh. We have everything, bro. We got size, we got athleticism, we got shooting, got strength, bro. My fault.
A program that teaches girls to reject stereotypes and embrace their leadership superpowers. This is what leadership looks like.
Man, you know he wasn't shooting that bit. Fuck around with you.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, where the Aces have a 6-point lead, and Chelsea Gray leading them in scoring so far today. And we've seen her score from all over the court and do it in an efficient manner. She's 7 for 9 on the afternoon, including the last bucket.
My fault, gang.
Tough as well. This is a great sign for Vegas, and we talked to Becky Hammond before the game, and she talked about Chelsea really needing to get back, and it was interesting. She said playing in Unrivaled because it's 3-on-3, it kind of changes your mindset, and she saw some differences with her on the floor. Yeah, particularly with the spacing on the floor. It felt like Chelsea's really kind of starting to find her groove again in the 5-on-5 game. In terms of how her next level is of reading what they need to do on the offensive end of the floor. So
you gotta go to the corner, Kay.
She dissects defenses with her brain. She has been really good. Meanwhile, Indiana, this is a team that led by 10, and Stephanie White before the game had talked about they had a double-digit lead against Golden State in their last game, lost that. She said we need to get that killer mentality when we get up double digits. What do we see when they come out of the timeout? I mean, we've seen this quite a bit this season, is get Kelsey Mitchell the ball and clear out the left side of the floor, let her go to her strong hand. This time it ends up with a couple opportunities at the line. Fourth foul on Young. Over to Angel Gray. Ladies, you hit the nail right on the head. Going back to the huddle for Indiana. That's why we're telling our team, listen everyone, we have to reframe the narrative of how we allow ourselves to get rattled with physicalities, really challenging them to put their foot on the gas and really put more emphasis on the paint. That was something that was a high level of importance coming out of the break.
Trying to build the BMX.
Now we'll see how they do with the physicality on the defensive end of the floor. That has been a problem for Coach White, trying to get them to handle physicality from teams.
Fuck.
5. Boston, the defense by Lloyd. And now Mitchell gets
around shit.
And drew the foul.
He just hit me with something crazy.
Fun watching Kelsey Mitchell when she catches the basketball. There's kind of a jitterbug out there with the pump fake first out at the three-point line. Watch her just fake and come by and then move a little bit more to her strong left side. Now the opportunity for the and one. Just the way that she moves around the court with the basketball in her hands.
Phoenix, they've gone 6 for 11 here in the fourth quarter.
Missed the free throw. Just 1 of 3 from the line for Mitchell. Wilson passes over to Nye, who only needs a little bit of space. Whistle.
Slipping and falling.
Great effort that time by Jewel Lloyd to crash the offensive glass.
Oh my God, great defense.
Trying to land, which is where the foul comes from, but you see Jewel from the top of the screen sprinting down to get in there, and Howard goes into her body, makes a play on the ball, but goes into her body, and therefore the foul is called.
And we've got a touch fouled by Ime Udoka. Looking to get it.
Nice. The hard part down to get to the rim, but couldn't get it to fall. Mitchell left open, that's even dangerous. She left college, she had the most threes in the history of women's basketball. She's good. Nye makes a great move on one end, but can't get the shot to drop, and then on the other. Miscommunication defensively, we got ourselves a tie ball game.
That's my mom to watch the kids so I can go to Kohl's. Yeah. Kohl's epic deals aren't that good. Save on summer tees, comfy shorts, bedding, and more at Kohl's and Kohl's.com.
Fleet comes in for Shepard. And a change for the Suns. Dunn's checked in. All right, let's get a report from Ellie.
Hey guys, during that last
The one look on joy of Kellogg's cereal and ice cold milk.
Childhood cancer is hard, but St. Jude has gotten us through it. St. Jude is hope.
Wash away the rain.
The research is being shared all over the world.
Welcome back to Las Vegas.
Fuck.
T-Mobile Arena, over 18,500 fans packed in. To see this tie ball game there, you see the leading scorers. Caitlin Clark, not pictured, does have a double-double, 13 points and 10 rebounds. It's a personal 6-0 Kelsey Mitchell run to tie this game.
Here's Van Vliet. Shaylin passes to Thompson. A kick out to Van Vliet.
Has lost 15 straight to Vegas.
Clear foul there on the missed shot. So
Great.
we'll get a pair of time.
Yes, Young tried to keep it alive.
God damn, I can't make none of these free throws.
Looking for a choice, and instead got picked by Gray. Lloyd calling for it over on the left. They didn't see her. She was open for 3.
The fuck?
Asia draws another foul.
Bro, what the hell was that?
Sends Asia to the line where she was 4 of 5 this afternoon. Asia struggling with her shot in the first half and owned it with her interview with Angel Gray.
Bro.
Got that special sauce working though. That sauce is special certainly here in the second half. Vegas 12 of 13 from the line. Another turnover and one. Jackie Young with a chance at a 3-point play fouled by Clark. Some toughness here. Jackie Young, I mean, that's just, I don't know what it was from Caitlin Clark there. Bounce pass attempt. We saw Steph White call Caitlin over for a little bit of shot. It's Young completes the three-point play. And it's a 5-0 run. 26 points off turnovers for Vegas. Kelsey Mitchell will single-handedly keeping them in it.
I mean, she has really been terrific, and she is their best player in terms of putting the ball on the deck and creating shots for herself.
18 points, including 3 threes. Young, Wilson, beautiful. Clark, long three. Last couple of games, it just hasn't looked like her from distance. Hall hustles.
Paul saves so many possessions, or extends so many possessions for the Indiana Fever just because she reads the ball well coming off the rim, but just attacks the glass. So much of it is effort.
Having a great year, particularly shooting with 3 balls. Challenged by Las Vegas. They think that they should have the basketball, so we get our first review of the game.
Ball on the floor was Indiana basketball, so we'll see.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it should be Vegas ball.
Yeah, it looked like Boston was the last player to touch it.
And you can take into account whether or not there was an uncalled foul there, but there wasn't. So certainly it looks like Wilson does not touch it and that this should be Vegas Aces ball. Las Vegas shooting the ball much better here in the second half. They've been helped by all of those turnovers. Look at it again. Right, that looks like it's Aaliyah Boston's hand, if any, that it touches, not Asia Wilson's. And again, I don't think that constitutes any kind of a foul that would allow the officials to give the ball to Indiana. Tiara Cruz and Charles Watson now having a look. Asia with a terrific second half. Again, her second game back after missing 3 games with a concussion. And of course, it does have to be clear and conclusive because the ball was indicated that it was going to be
early.
And as told to overturn it.
I'm not missing 2 in a row. I'm not. I don't
but
care.
The officials may not. By the way, I do like the idea of the WNBA going to the NBA model and having outside officials review, especially in the case of flagrant fouls and fights and that sort of thing. But that's not the case right now. These officials here will give us their review.
After review, Las Vegas is successful in their challenge. The ball is off of Malia Boston. The game clock is accurate at 3:26. Vegas will be able to challenge for a second time.
Yeah, that certainly looks like that was the accurate call. Credit Becky Mammon for using the challenge there as well.
Great job, good explanation too by Tiara Cruz. Cruz, Green, and Watson here today doing a good job keeping this game flowing. And a successful challenge, so they keep the challenge. And they have the ball with a 5-point lead with just under 3.5 minutes to go. Wilson thought about it, pulled the trigger and buried it. What a second half for Asia. Inside,
I won.
able to recover nicely.
Ready to go. She's courtside. Hey, Allie.
Fred, no surprise, a great defensive showing tonight. What is it that makes this team so suffocating at that end of the floor?
Well, I think we're getting pretty good effort from each guy individually. I think we're finding our package defensively as a team, the coaching staff, and just kind of gelling and putting together individual game plans from the coaches and trying to execute it.
No doubt. Thanks, Fred.
The last 2 buckets for Las Vegas comes from their players who helped them win back-to-back championships. First, Asia Wilson, elbow area, going to be money most of the time, and then Chelsea Gray on the reverse catch and shoot, delivers as well. Boston with an uncharacteristic miss. Howard couldn't chase it down. It's Vegas basketball. Great answer for Vegas after Indiana had tied this game. But a giveaway, Mitchell is not going to give the ball up. Donovan Mitchell has been the answer offensively all fourth quarter for the Indiana Fever. Great in this quarter. 2 minutes left. Shot clock into single digits for Asia, who recognized it and went to work.
Damn, one.
Drew the foul. There's a reason Asia Wilson was the unanimous MVP a season ago. She is an absolute handful on the offensive end of the floor because of her skill set. Here, maneuvers around, gets the and-one opportunity as well. 16 points in this half for Asia Wilson. After she missed 11 of her 13 shots in the first half, and a great response. And Vegas really needed this. Reeling, losers of 5 of their last 6, 3 in a row. And there you see a great second half for one of the best players in the world. And I love when she did her interview